Hey, this is Aaron, the Metal Theologian. It's funny. There's some people come up on here and talk, and I don't think I've really done that very much. It's usually pretty much about the records. But if you'll indulge me today, I'm going to actually use this forum to work through a little bit of an issue, and it's an issue that I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other older collectors on here are also having. It's funny, older sounds so fucked up. It's not like I'm that fucking old, but I'm not like one of these 20-year-old collectors either. I mean, I have records from the old days and shit like that, especially in the metal area too, that you see the difference in people's collections. Anyway, though, that's not the point of this. The point of this is that just within the last week or so, a whole bunch of Iron Maiden reissues have come out. And yeah, they redid the first 3 LPs that I've seen. And they've also did the first batch of 7-inch singles. And I picked one of them up the other day. I actually showed it in a previous video. I didn't already have the Purgatory 7-inch, so I grabbed that and I was pretty fucking happy to do so. But man, the other ones look really fucking nice. And I don't have 7 inches on any of them except for Running Free, which I'm very happy to own. I'm not bitching. And I actually showed that the other day too. But the other ones, man, a lot of those, I mean, I've seen them, like, for sale and that sort of thing, and even for relatively reasonable prices, but I've never held most of these in my hands, right? So now I go in the fucking record store, and there they are, and I'm holding, like, a fucking Run to the Hills 7-inch in my hands, going, fuck, man, I really feel like I ought to take this thing home. This thing just belongs to my fucking collection. But the thing is, man, I have all these fucking 12 inches already. I just don't have the 7 inches. And they have the same covers, the same songs. It's not like I'm getting some like unreleased track or something that I don't already have. And aside from the fact that, they're $8 a pop, which isn't really that bad, if you factor in inflation. It's a pretty good price, in fact, given the quality of the productions. But it's $8 a pop that I don't really need to spend. And moreover, given that, they're making such a big deal out of how these are strictly limited and shit, which, it's kind of horse shit. I mean, fuck, when you're having a 500 run, something that's limited to fucking 50,000 copies doesn't really impress you very much, But they are limited. They're not going to be around forever. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there who are newer to collecting than I am, who really, I just ought to leave these extra copies out there so other people can have them and frankly enjoy them too, And, I don't know if that sounds self-aggrandizing or something like that, but the reality is, you see something cool at a record store, you have a choice, especially if it's cheap and it's something that is fucking awesome and rare or whatever else, it's like you can grab it, and you should grab it if you don't have it, but if it's a double, you can grab it, or you can leave it there knowing that it'll make someone else happy, but it's sort of like the whole thing about, like, giving in secret, because you're never going to know who gets the fucking record. Most likely, occasionally it happens, but almost never are you going to know who gets that record. You don't know if it's really going to go to a good home. And of course, you want to have it to trade or something like that too. So there's always a sort of dilemma. And, I know some of you are more prone to buying doubles and triples and quadruples and God knows what else than I am anyway. But, my cheap streak just comes out in different areas. I go out and fucking spend more money on something I find online than, some of you guys too, so I figured it all balances out in the end. But I do kind of look at things that way, though. So the purpose of this video is I'm going to show off my Iron Maiden, well, most of my early records, I guess, but particularly focusing on the 12 inches, and see if this will help me work through some of my issues. And God, I already feel like I've rambled on for too long, so let's get fucking started already. So this, I think this is the earliest one I have. I mean, I already showed the Running Free 7-inch. That's not going to be in this one. You can look at the other one if you care. This is my Sanctuary 12-inch. Has Margaret Thatcher on it right there and shit. It's funny that they actually bothered to make a censored version of this. It seems like the censored version is probably more rare than the uncensored one. If you ever see that one with the fucking bar over her face, Whatever, I don't really give a fuck about that. I actually had a double of this at one point, though. That's how easy it was to find, man. I gave it to a friend of mine when I was still living in San Francisco. I was like, oh, hey, man, you have all this, like, other shit that's amazing and that, but, like, you don't have enough early Iron Maiden. You want this record? He was like, oh, hell yeah. Fucking, so I was like, okay, it's my good deed of the day, and it sent me back, like, I don't know, $5, maybe $8. No big deal, So, there's the back picture. A nice little picture from probably Madame Tussauds. With that wax figure with his guts hanging out. Sanctuary and Drifter and I've Got the Fire, which I believe are on the 7-inch, and also Prowler. This thing is in very nice shape. It opens in a weird place. I don't think it has a custom label. No, it just has one of these like standard EMI labels, but it's 1980. It's the real deal. And, you know, again, not like a mega rarity. I mean, nowhere near the caliber, frankly, of some of the shit that I've shown. But, you know, that 7-inch is still kind of beckoning me. But this fucking thing is, I don't know. It's funny how primitive that Derek Riggs art looks on these early records, isn't it? It's like nowhere near the standard. You compare that to like the Number of the Beast or something like that. And it's like some fucking Yahoo drew that shit. I mean, a really awesome Yahoo, but still. So, what's next? Alright, I just pulled this whole stack out. So, this is my copy of the first record that I've had since the mid-80s. I was actually living in Germany when I bought this, so this is the version. If you can see the track list, it does not have Sanctuary on it. This is the, I also the import press, but it's an import press because I personally imported it. It's a little bit ridiculous to say that, I think. This is kind of a cool old label, too, as I recall. That fucking coffee stain, by the way, on the inner sleeve has been there for forever. I've never swapped it out, so it's like, that's how I know it's my copy. See, look, I'm starting to see how attached I am to it. I'm looking at this, too, man. It is not a fucking mint record, but it plays nicely. And it has one of those old EMI labels on it, too. That kind of dates it a little bit right there, doesn't it? So, I think my copy of the, no, my Angel Witch is on bronze. I feel like I have an Angel Witch with that same label, but who the fuck knows? Man, this is going to be a leisurely video. Watch me fucking ramble on for a fucking hour about these obvious records, but I don't know, man. This is a pretty nice copy. I actually had an upgrade of it at one point, and I got rid of it because it was a U.S. press. It had Sanctuary, and, you know, that's not how I heard it when I was a kid. You know, that song wasn't stuck in the middle, and so it kind of threw off the whole balance of the record, you know, after Strange World. That's not what I was expecting to hear, and, I signed it up unloading it and keeping my old copy that wasn't in as great shape. So next up, I did buy this one in the U.S., but here's my Women in Uniform 12-inch. Again with Margaret Thatcher. I don't think there's a censored version of this one, though. Same deal, Phantom of the Opera live version on the B side. And I believe that's exactly the same as on the 7-inch. The one that I've kind of been freaking out over, although this one a little bit less. These old tour dates are kind of cool on these things, but that's pretty much all the same. Trying to keep this moving along. Oh yeah, I have this one too. If I'm not mistaken, this was a German-only release. So this is another Women in Uniform 12-inch, but it has Drifter on it instead of... it doesn't have Prowler on it, and... yeah, it's just Women in Uniform too. You know, I wanted to believe that Iron Maiden did really cool covers because, well, I was going to talk about this later, but I basically discovered Nectar on the strength of their cover of King of Twilight on the back of the Aces High 12-inch, and I was like, holy fuck, that just blew my mind. It was like, I don't know, there's something really intimidating about that song, like when I was a little fucking kid in like 86 or whenever that came out, and then, I don't know, it wasn't until a fair bit later that I actually discovered Nectar and listened to their records, and that's still one of my favorites, man. I mean, some of those later ones... I gotta even Remember the Future, and I think Recycled Another Chance, because remember correctly, it was Scott who was saying good things about those. But those first two Nectar records are absolute classics as far as I'm concerned. Journey to the Center of the Eye, and then Tab in the Ocean, which has King of Twilight on it. Although if you don't already have it, you're gonna invest in it, stay away from the American passport pressing, and just spend the extra money on the fucking European version, because the mix is different. And the mix on the European one is a lot like more rocking. It's more sort of raw sounding. It's not as like... It's like they didn't add it, but they brought out all the keyboards and shit like that to sort of fit more with like that hokey like jazz rock thing that Passport was kind of pushing anyway, and it was just kind of crap. So here's my copy of Killers. Same copy I bought way back when. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's from... Yeah, it came like this with a plain black inner sleeve. Yeah, and this one does have a custom label. So, same as all those 7-inches. Keep talking about the fucking 7-inches, man. That's not a good sign. Although I think I'm kind of talking myself out of that shit a little bit. Sort of going through here and strolling down memory lane a little bit. And yeah. So again, I bought this one when I was living in Germany, so it does not have Twilight Zone on it. I'll hold up the track list again. I don't know if you can see that shit, but looks like it's coming through okay. Ides of March. See, I'm sure none of my little Maiden factoids are going to impress anyone, but if you don't have Head On by Samson and you go out and buy it, you'll be surprised to hear that Hammerhead is exactly the same song as Ides of March. So, but yeah, this is a fucking great album. This might be my favorite one, and Purgatory is one of my favorite songs on it. So that in conjunction with the cover is why I went ahead and got it. I noticed, by the way, the reissue list, it didn't have the track listing, because I actually wanted to figure out which version they had redone for American release, but they didn't help me. I would have had to crack it. And if I'd started rubbing the fucking record on my jeans in the store, I think the dudes would have gotten pissed. So, a lot of these I've had so long I don't remember exactly where I got them. I do remember this one. I got this at Chris's Warped Records in Cleveland for $2. This is my Twilight Zone 12-inch. I was so fucking happy to find this thing, man. I remember that. It's another one. Look, this one's actually a double A-side, see? Wrathchild. Because Drifter's a B-side song, but Wrathchild is an A-side song. I don't really know how they figure that shit out, but whatever, man. Whatever makes them fucking happy. So this one I'm throwing in a little bit gratuitously. This is my Japanese press of Made in Japan, which actually has a song less. It's just called Heavy Metal Army, though, and it has a cut corner. Fuck, I don't remember what the other song was on the album, but this has Running Free, Remember Tomorrow, Killers, and Innocent Exiles. So maybe someone can tell me what's on the American and European one in the comments or something. But this is definitely a fucking cool record. Got my Obi strip there, and yeah, there's the back. Yeah, it has the insert and all that shit. I actually bought this at Tower Records in Washington, D.C. back when Tower Records still existed, for starters. I also bought an Eraserhead soundtrack that same day, and I don't have that anymore, but I do still have the Iron Maiden record, so go figure, man. So next up, another one that's out on 7-inch right now. Run to the Hills. There it is. It's a pretty fucking amazing cover. There's a little custom label right on the back there. German tour dates from the Beast on the Road tour. Kind of a dumb picture of him drinking beer. It's funny how that was so like necessary back in the 80s. Like, if you didn't drink beer, there was like, I don't know, man, maybe it's because we all got old or something like that. So I don't know. Here's my copy of The Number of the Beast. This yeah, I bought this one over there too. This is a real Record Geek thing now, but somewhere along the way, let's see if I still have this. Yeah, okay, so this is the inner that came with the record and actually has the record in it. I hope this doesn't fuck up because I'm sitting on the keyboard. Somewhere along the way, I don't know where the hell this came from, but I got an extra inner sleeve for this record. And I'm warning you, the next like 30 seconds is about as geeky as it gets with fucking record collecting, okay? I was looking at them though, and this one is from an American press. It's printed in USA, and this is the one that I got when I was living in Germany. So this one, in addition to having a London fan club address, and this one having an address in Macon, Georgia, go figure. There's actually some different shit in the thanks tos. There's some different people in here. Like on the German one, they thank Kiss, Priest, and UFO. On the American one, they thank Kiss, Priest, UFO, and Trust. So, and they even formatted it a little bit differently. I don't know if this is going to show up. I've been saying that like this whole goddamn video, huh? But let's see. Ah, shit. Okay, well, there's the German one. And wait, no, this is the German one. Sorry, I'm fucking not that good with the camera. And this is the American one. So you see how it's center justified and left justified on this one? So yeah, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but yeah, that kind of tripped me out actually. It never really occurred to me to compare that until they were both like in my hand one day when I was looking at it. Fuck, I dropped the goddamn outer. When I was looking at it one day going, why the fuck do I have an extra copy of this inner sleeve? And although I never answered that question, actually not only did I not answer that question, I ended up raising a couple more fucking questions. So, maybe someday they'll be answered, but that's probably like this really common thing, like different thank yous and blah, blah, blah. This is probably one of the last ones I got. I remember I got this one at Reckless Records in San Francisco when that was still there on Hate and Masonic. It's like a fucking corny-ass clothing store now. It's just disappointing. That was a great record shop, but Amoeba pretty much put them out of business when they opened up the street on Stanyon in an old bowling alley. Amoeba Records is great. I'm not going to sit here and talk any shit about Amoeba, but I would have been happier to have Reckless and Amoeba than just Amoeba. So, anyways, Number of the Beast, obviously. The super sound version on the maxi single. Custom labels. What's on the back? Remember Tomorrow, recorded live in Italy. Really pretty much the same shit as... Oh, look at that rip on there. That kind of sucks, doesn't it? Whatever. I didn't spend very much on this thing either. I didn't spend very much on any of these. I think the most I spent on any of them was probably $8. And I was probably on that Number of the Beast one, come to think of it. I might have spent that much on my Aces High that I'll show in a minute because I actually bought that one when it was relatively new, but... Alright, that's funny. This one has a plastic inner, but just moving ahead, we've actually just covered all the ones that are in the other thing, but what the hell, I'll just keep going because what was it going to? Here's the Trooper. Super sound version, of course, and the B-side, Cross-Eyed Mary, which is a very good choice of a cover, I have to say, too. I'm not a big Jethro Tull fan, and that said, my favorite record is probably Aqualung. That's going to be on the strength of this song, like Locomotive Breath, and just kind of the heaviest one to my ears. Well, kind of like this was Jethro Tull too. But anyway, all this what I was saying, I'm not a very big Jethro Tull fan. But first of all, they obviously are anyway, and God love them for it. But second off, they're going to pick a cover and then do it well. That's a pretty good choice. So here's a Europress thing that you've probably seen, but this is my copy of Peace of Mind, and this one actually has a plain inner. Yeah, it has a custom label, of course, but it has a gatefold. You see that? And on the American pressings that I've seen, those pictures are on either side of the inner sleeve, and the record's just a single cover. So, thought about getting an American one just for the hell of it, but I don't know. I actually used to have this on tape, too. I actually bought this tape in 1983. So, I had a yellow case for some reason. I don't know why. It kind of pissed me off at the time. It also opened backwards. Like, instead of like this, it opened like this. But yeah, I wish I had that fucking thing. That would freak LJ's ass out. Alright, what else do I have here? Oh yeah. Flight of Icarus. You can tell it's a UK band because the dude is not circumcised. Another pretty awesome cover. Hasn't been reissued yet. Maybe they'll get around to it, but you know. These fucking later ones. It's not like the same big deal as those earlier ones. There we go. I've got the Fire. Fucking Montrose cover. Pretty damn cool. Another custom label. And I'm thinking those 7 inches are pretty cool, but I kind of don't really fucking need them. So, alright, my copy's of Power Slave. My copy of Power Slave is the same as yours. I bought Seventh Son of a Seventh Son years later. That's a whole other fucking conversation, is my whole story with that. Well, real quick, I'll summarize. I hated it when it came out. Somewhere in Time sucked, right? They were using that fucking synthesizer guitar that already looked so god-awful, and that fucking... what was that video that Gary Moore did with Phil Lynott? And I remember there's this fucking... They cut to the solo thing where he starts playing on the fucking synthesizer guitar. Me and my friends are like, what the fuck? And then Iron Maiden puts out Somewhere in Time. They have that exact same shit going. We're like, oh man, these motherfuckers aren't that nice. And they put out, and the records suck too. Okay, I mean, and let's face it, you know. I mean, I know some of you guys find redeeming value in that record, but compare that to any of the previous records, and it's a goddamn piece of shit. I mean, let's just fucking be honest about that. And accept the fact that our heroes have clay feet. Okay. Anyway, Seventh Son came out. They actually used a keyboard on that one. Can I Play With Man, which was the lead single, which I hated. That whole fucking record was just a goddamn disaster. And me, along with pretty much every other metal fan I knew in 1988, hated that fucking piece of shit. Okay? Fast forward 20 years, I start hearing that among people 20 years younger than me, that's like this cult record. And like all these younger kids are like, oh my god, that's the best Maiden album. So I found a copy actually of Amoeba in San Francisco for like $4 or $5. It's like, okay, what the hell, man? Maybe I'll give this thing another chance. And I took it home and was like, man, this is actually a pretty damn good record. I mean, the reality is, I probably spent more money on a lot of records that sounded like less good Maiden copies than Seventh Son of a Seventh Son was. So, I gotta give it credit, and right now, Although it is definitely not my favorite Maiden record. If you ask me, do you like Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, Mr. Metal Theologian? I'll be like, yeah, it's a pretty cool record. You know, if you said you like Peace of Mind, I'll be like, oh, fuck, dude. You have no business buying any other record if you don't have Peace of Mind, okay? But we say Seventh Son, we say, yeah, it's a pretty damn good record, man. That's totally worth, a few bucks. Not worth $30, but it's totally worth... Oh, fuck, dude. I don't know. That's up to you. Anyway, so those are the only other LPs that I have, and then I also, as I alluded to, have this one, which is a picture of this that I bought back in the day. This might actually be the first one that I had on vinyl, although I'm not sure. It has this kind of cool back. We can see the smoke thing goes. Oh, fuck. So when when the thing spins on your record player, it looks like the fucking plane is going. He's going, oh, Jesus, I'm going to hit the ground. And, of course, it has King of Twilight on it. And the live version of The Number of the Beast is kind of superfluous. But, like I said, King of Twilight. I'd say it was a life-changing thing. It would be kind of overstating, but, So, I don't know, I think it was kind of therapeutic to go through those things. I don't know if I've really worked through my issues on those 45s yet, but it kind of does feel good to go back into my own shit and go, something, this shit that's coming out looks really awesome, but that doesn't mean I need to buy every single fucking thing, because first of all, there's too much. But second of all, I already have a lot of the best stuff. I mean, and that's just... I don't mean to brag by saying that, but that's just the way it is when you've been collecting for a certain number of years, right? I mean, because the shit you go out and buy first is the shit you want the most, When you've been collecting for 30 years, it's like, there comes a point where you're like, yeah, most of my favorite records that have come out over the last 30 years, I already bought, because I was already collecting, and I already bought them, and so as cool as these things are, man, and if you don't have them, I totally recommend you go and cough up $8 or $9 a pop, or whatever the fuck they are, because they're worth every goddamn penny. But I'm really thinking I'm probably going to be satisfied with my Purgatory 12-inch and just leave it with that. And with that, I think I'm going to end my therapy session. And it was fucking free. Hey. Thanks for indulging me. You're all a bunch of clowns for doing it, but thanks for indulging me.